has played if you're concerned about another matchup for the Ahri. The other way they could pivot is if they want to take away some engage in the top lane. We still have things like Camille open. We've been seeing a rise in prominence in things like the Sejuani as well. But no, gonna opt into just both mid lane bans coming through. The only real pick that we see into Ahri that's still left open would be the Vex, which we haven't really seen much of since MSI. True.
Veigar are also a potential option into that Ahri, but like you say, not picks that we've seen a lot of since that international tournament. With the LeBlanc and Lissandra taken off the board, we'll have to see. Galio's still available too if Dream wants to lean in that kind of direction. But over to FPX, looks like they're going to go for their top lane blind here.
Yeah, so just going to opt into another champion that's going to find kiting back, letting the enemy come into them. He will have the ultimate available if V5 are able to find their way onto a key target. Sylas now coming out to match the Ahri. Going to be a little bit rough in the early game once you get some levels under your belt. If you can hit an Abscond Abduct and bring Karsa into the mix, they definitely can look to take those 2v2s. Now I'm interested to see where V5 go with the top side. We hit on the Sejuani, something that has been really making a comeback into this meta so far, and has actually done pretty well in the laning phases from what we've had so far.
Yeah, this is something that's been seen internationally as well, but that's on 12-11. I was kind of surprised when, you know, we were seeing that internationally, and then LPL seemed to pick it up, even though they're on a different patch, seemed to retroactively apply to the LPL. But yeah, like you say, a lot of success so far. A bit surprised to see players like Rich picking it up, though. Rich usually likes to lean into those carries.
Yeah, Rich gonna definitely be taking a different role. Just overall for V5, right? We hit on how usually their bot lane's kind of on more scaling, Rich on a bit of a carry. This time, Votic gonna come out with the aggression, and V5 gonna have to play a lot more for mid and bot, which if you're playing up against FPX, I feel like that's a pretty solid strategy with where they usually put their pressure. Shala, who not getting a whole lot of attention from the side of FPX, usually does just play on his own little island. And then FPX overall, I feel like have a well-rounded comp into what V5 have picked. Kites back beautifully. You have things like the pillar to prevent engage. You have a ton of mobility on your carries. And we already hit on the Kale ultimate as well to round things out. So actually, I like what FPX have put together so far. Now we're going to see if V5 can find the early aggression to nullify the kiting back that FPX will be able to lean on later on.
Yeah. Do you know, you don't usually get to see players' screens. That's like a small silver lining of the fact that we're doing it all online at the minute. We get to watch Rich selecting which Sejuani chroma he's going to go with on Project Sejuani, and just watching them all check their runes and stuff. It's nice to see. But I will say, I also really like the fact that FPX left their jungle pick until last there. The Trundle is definitely in answer to the Sejuani, right? You could have gone like Lee Sin. We know Clear likes to play Lee Sin, especially alongside that Ahri. But no, waiting until that final pick is in so that he can pick something that is going to work in the entire composition. So we'll have to see how this Trundle is going to work out for Clear. According to those stats, this top jungle is very favored for V5.
Yeah, V5 going with that Sejuani pick. I mean, you have the melee Wukong there to help proc the passive as well, get more stuns off, get more damage down. So for V5, that's what we want to see. We want to see some aggressive skirmishing, maybe coming out in that top side 2v2, setting the Kale behind. But looks like V5 aiming for a bit of a late invade.
Yeah, or maybe just hoping someone from FPX will do that, or will try and ward Pixel Brush, but ain't happening for now. They're going to walk forwards. It will be over a ward, though. And it looks like they were just hoping someone was in the push, looking for a small chance there. And Dream will get a first ward of the game, which does mean Dream will have that XP advantage in the mid lane. So Care will have to live up to his name and be a little careful.
Lightweight, unluckily for him, he's in a range versus melee matchup, so the first few levels shouldn't be too bad. At level 3 as Dream, you can start trying to find those all-ins, get in, quick, heavy trade, burst, back off, wait for your cooldowns to come back off. And I think this mid-jungle 4v5, very much depends on bringing Karsa into the fold and making sure you're looking for those aggressive 2v2s. And I mean, luckily for V5 as well, they even got deeper vision down, right? Getting a ward actually on the red buff as compared to FPX getting one in front of the Raptor camp. I'm curious if V5 are aware of it. They should be, right? If you're getting ward in enemy's red side jungle, you should also be aware that the enemy has gotten one on your camps as well.
Yeah, exactly. If they haven't traded that ward, then that's them kind of dropping the ball realistically in that kind of situation. Rich with a nice little trade to start things off. Quite often we've seen in the very early levels, Kale actually sort of winning out a lot of these early trades. But Rich doing a decent job to make sure that he's getting grass procs, trying to deny CS, trying to just get a bit of harass down on Xiaolahu while he can. And Xiaolahu, speaking of, he's going to be wanting to have a good series here, Lyric, because we've all seen the announcements. Summit joining the FPX roster. Obviously, won't be able to play immediately. Needs to get over from Korea, and I'm sure there'll be all kinds of quarantines and visa issues and all that kind of stuff. There always seems to be. But until then, Shallow will be playing, and I'm sure he wants to prove that he deserves this spot on the roster.
Yeah, and Shalloh's been very hit or miss. I feel like he's had some very good games. His Fiora game comes to mind. I believe that was against EDG, where he had like an insane split push, takes an inhibitor. Also had a bad game in that series, got solo killed by Flandre. So he's been very back and forth in my mind, had some great performances, had some less than stellar ones. But it still sucks, right? Because Shallow has been one of the more promising players on the roster, as we see in the bottom left, right-hand corner. So unfortunate, V5's ward timing out right before Clid gets there. No information, but now Clid going to be up towards that top side that we've been talking so much about.
Yeah, but Clid so far just going with the camps, not trying to go too aggressive. Rich playing very respectfully, drops a ward in the tri-brush, but it looks like Clid will just continue with his full clear. As Karsa, actually no, pings on towards the crab, but Karsa's already got it, and he's just going to walk into the jungle. This is where Trundle shines. This is Trundle's comfort zone. 1v1 me, bro, screams Clid.
Especially with the fact that his lethal tempo earlier on. Lethal tempo definitely enabling early skirmishes a little bit more than the Conqueror would. Karsa, though, still going to pivot up towards his top side, wanting to find the skank onto Shallow.
Wants to make his way in. We mentioned that Richard warded the tri-brush, so you can see the ward from Shallow, not actually in the brush. Karsa going to be stealthed as well, but Shallow gets underneath the tower. And I feel like that was a little hopeful with how Shallow is positioned in the lane.
Yeah, a little hopeful. I feel like even Karsa maybe should be going a little bit sooner, coordinating with Rich when Rich jumps in, because then at least the threat of the stun proc coming through maybe forces Shallow to flash if he panics. But V5 not going to be able to find it, and heck, Shallow even getting a nice trade back onto Rich. So you have to be careful.
Yeah, certainly will. Rich, generally speaking, fairly safe laner, though. It's not the kind of player that we often see just getting the kind of random deaths during the laning phase, right? We've got a lot of top laners in this league that like to play a little too aggressive. And I'm not saying that Rich won't be aggressive, but not usually the one to be caught out quite like that. Fairly respectable top laner there. But I do just want to quickly mention that this is actually kind of a little quieter than what I was expecting coming into this game. Because when you look statistically so far in this league, V5 going to trade on a little bit there. V5 actually have the highest kills at 15 of any team in the league. They're averaging 4.5 kills at the 15-minute mark. So you can anticipate over the next few minutes, Karsa's going to get into some lanes, and we're going to see some action.
And to be fair, right, Karsa's already tried. They already went for that top lane gank once. Bot lane, a very hard lane to attack when you're going up against an Ezreal Braum, having the mobility from your dash on Ezreal, and just Unbreakable really being able to mitigate a lot of what V5 wants to do. But Karsa going to make a return on top side. Should at least be able to find Krugs if he wants to fully commit, but no. Rich instead going to go for the reset. And maybe this is where V5 finally try to set something up in mid-jungle. Nope, Munch. We are selling false hope.
We're snake oil salesmen. It is what it is. It's going to be Clid just getting himself that Drake to kick things off. Karsa not even considering contesting right now. He's just going to be going back to his camps. But that pink ward will be crucial, because unlike the previous ward that timed out just before Clid got there, pink wards don't time out.
Yeah, really good showing coming out from V5 with the pink ward. But FPX don't care about pink wards. We'll be able to pick up a dragon. And it goes back to something we touched on earlier, right? That FPX have been really good about stacking dragons from super early in the game. Always looking for them, you know, somewhere between 6-7 minute mark. So then they could put pressure on the enemy composition. The silver lining for V5 is they definitely come online a lot at level 6 when both Dream and Karsa pick up their ultimates. And then you have some CC coming from jungle. You can get a little bit more damage coming from Dream. And might look for it on Care.
Care might be in trouble here. Half of his health already gone here. Dream not having to use much, but the charm coming in onto Dream, that's going to be crucial. He's low on mana, but Clid with a great pillar to disengage. That's beautiful to see.
Yeah, nice for him to be able to get away, not even have to lose any summoner spells coming out from the side of FPX. V5, though, finally taking advantage of the strong skirmishing coming out from their mid-jungle, and I like that they're playing up towards top side as well, because that is where Rich has Prio, so he can consistently move. And Rich so far, solid CS lead, almost getting the first plate all to himself. This is how we've seen this matchup go To a bit of my surprise, right? I feel like we've seen Sejuani win lane incredibly heavily against most champions we've seen her picked into so far. Just a lot of early base damage is coming out. You hit on it earlier that she's a very safe laner as well, so you don't feel too pressured playing far forward when you do have both things like your Q and your flash available to be able to escape from sticky situations.
Yeah, not to mention the passive as well, right? Not being able to be slowed. Actually incredibly good against specifically Kayle. Oh, ultimate from Rich at the top side. But that's going to be all it is. Just dropping that ult for a bit of pressure, I guess. Heavy trades in the top side. And consistent grasp procs, I suppose, from Rich.
Yeah, and typically when you have heavy trades come out, that would mean your team wants to be the one setting up for a gank or a dive or something along those lines. But FPX having Klid cover right now, and Karsa's on the opposite side of the map. So interesting. I love it. Rich knows he doesn't need to care, still knows that Klid is in the area. And now they're starting to bring up Karsa towards that top side with the fact that Herald's spawning. Rich has that pressure up in top lane. I wouldn't be surprised to see V5 wanting to look for some sort of aggression.
We'll have to see as Karsa moving in. His ward was cleared. Actually, no, it wasn't. And he walks up and smites it. Was that a new ward? Was that a new ward, or is that the same old ward? Klid was stunned it this entire time. I think it must have been a new one. And actually, Karsa is just going to take control of the situation, go for Herald.
FPX so far, not really putting up too much of a fight. I mean, Karsa just allowed to walk up.
Klid just rolled over.
Yeah, Klid, I don't know, man. That was not a very alpha move coming out from Klid. It's not even what we expect from Klid, right? Because even Klid has been someone who has leaned into the aggressive, like FPX spot lane mentality himself. But now going to opt to counter jungle on the opposite side of the map. Shouldn't really be able to turn this into too much in terms of like maybe pivoting down to bot lane or even looking for mid. I feel like both Dream and then Photic and PP God are incredibly safe right now. So V5 getting something for free.
Yeah, something for nothing right here is Klid. We'll leave one small chicken just to wind Karsa up a little bit. But you know what, Karsa, he already got your red buff, and then he got a Herald off the back of it. I think he's winning these trades right now. As he looks towards this top side, Shaola, who does have flash available. CCJ not available because Rich doesn't have ult. And Karsa decides against going for the time being. Just a heavy trade from Rich. Perhaps a dive here. Herald gonna go down. Rich happy to tank, and now his ult is available. But so is Xiao Laohu's. But why dive when you could just kill the tower first? They let the Herald charge on in, and now Xiao Laohu will be CC'd up. Ults not even needed. It's an easy first blood for Karsa.
Great coordination coming out from Rich and Karsa as well. Like you said, focusing on the tower first. They're going to be able to guarantee themselves a second charge. Now FPX have to look for a cross map. Klid's leaning down towards bot side right now, but Photic and PP God's still really healthy. Doesn't look like they can do anything. And V5 going to get this second turret as FPX. I guess you just have to look towards that next Drake, but large gold swing in favor of V5.
Yeah, I don't think that's worth 2 Drakes at this point, honestly, as Rich is going to be basically invincible. And Karsa getting that kill, he's just finished his Divine Sunder as well, so he's going to be huge. In the meantime, at least a couple of plates going down in favor of FPX on the bottom side. LWX looking for a third plate if he can get it. And these are solo plates as well, crucially. So that is a lot of gold for LWX. That will be an advantage. So maybe Shallow who's found Rich, but apparently not.
You know, in looking at where the game state's at now, we hit on coming out of draft the fact that like FPX have a lot of mobility. They have a lot of like zone control coming out from the Braum, coming out from the Trundle as well. But with V5 being so far ahead, and the fact that their engaged members, right, the Sejuani, the Wukong are the ones with all that power, I feel like kind of mitigates the draft coming out from FPX countering what V5 picked up, because V5 will always be able to find their way onto a target.
We might be finding them finding their way on a target. Wow, that was a sentence. Any second now as Drake start off. And you mentioned how FPX might be able to trade a Drake for what happened on the top side. Absolutely not. V5 grouping up. Rich moving all the way down across the map to make sure that his team can find priority and grab that Drake for themselves. And now Rich wants some bonus chickens, but he might have bitten off more than he can chew on this one. Charm comes in, Klid on top of him, but Dream moving over. I think Rich is going to be okay on this one. Care trying to get over the wall, and a knock-up is there onto Care. Can they trade? Dream doesn't have the damage, but Karsa flashes in. Care flashes back out, though, and suddenly Karsa's the one in trouble. Dream under the tower, and then over to the chickens in Spider-Man, for God's sake. And now Karsa will be left out to dry. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of FPX.
Yeah, a bit of greed coming out from V5. Rich wanting the Raptors. Karsa hoping he can finish off Care, which has put himself in his own bad situation. At least V5 are able to find one, and the fact that they're already up and FPX can't really turn this into a turret or any sort of neutral objective means it's not all that big for the side of FPX, but still, we just get a replay here of Rich getting caught out. Chickens are nice. Win the mental game. Get better, Clid.
Yeah, didn't actually get the chickens though, unfortunately. Got a couple of the popcorn chicken, but
You're right.
just finishing
Get
off.
better, Rich.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, that was way too much from Rich there. Care with a nice splash. Carson can't quite get that kill. But Dream not having any of it, and then Spider-Man's his way back out. Thank God Rich didn't finish those chickens off, eh?
Yeah, true. And I gotta say, like, I'm glad Dream went for it in the end because it's like, okay, if Carson's gonna run it down to try to finish off that kill as well, like, someone has to guarantee that actually one kill gets onto the board. All calculated coming out from V5 with that play. And now V5 going to start angling up towards the top side. Rich might be over-aggressing once again.
Not deterred by the previous play, just walks in by himself. You can see on the minimap, absolutely no support from anyone either, but still confident to just walk in and try and find a fight.
Yeah, now I want to see where V5 use that confidence, because Rich doesn't really have anything to play for in terms of his own lane, right? It'd be way too much for him to overextend and try to find damage onto an inhibitor turret. Would open himself up very easily to get ganked by FPX. So I feel like we want to see Rich starting to hover down towards mid lane quite a bit, at least putting some threat onto Care with his ulti. And it'll mean that Clid or Hung will have to consistently just hover around the mid lane so those sort of plays aren't able to be found. If not, as V5, I feel like you're just giving FPX a lot of breathing room that you could otherwise just suffocate with how much pressure you have on the map right now.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm amazed at Sejuani's wave clear. That's the biggest thing that, when watching Sejuani recently in this top lane, I've consistently been surprised by how much damage the W does to the wave as Ket uses the Spirit Rush. He'll be okay. Rich, as you say, roaming to that mid lane. This is a very expected play, and Care totally ready for it. But yeah, like, I feel like when you're building full tank, your W shouldn't just one-shot the entire wave like that.
I mean, right, has 5 points in it, so I think the lash damage about 200 base, so doing a good bit as Rich. Once again, just all inning onto Shalahu and just forcing these aggressive trades. Push out the wave, hover back down towards mid, enable Karsa to steal these Raptors, and it'll set up for a very easy second Herald in favor of E5.
Okay, another contest for the chickens. Clid, will he ever get a chicken this game? That's going to be the question on everyone's lips. Karsa takes it with the smite in the end. Look at Rich! He does not have a singular Care to give to FPX at this point because Care is already on their team. How can he give Care over when he's already on the roster?
Maybe he can propose, he could marry him, and then, you know, it's like a father giving their daughter to someone else, or however that goes. So that's yeah, Rich just needs to fall in love.
Maybe that's the play. We just have some kind of LPL fanfic going on.
Oh no! Oh, that wasn't what I meant to do.
You started this.
Hey, no! You started this. You started with giving Care over. Is Care? Do they know? Oh, they don't know.
I mean, Dream, this would be a 2v1 if he goes for it. Clid off in the brush, but Dream not going to commit as Clid comes in, but obviously the abscond abduct available for Dream. He'll be okay, but I think Clid and Care should be able to finish this tower off. But look at the minimap right here. PP God moving on over, as is Karsa. And I think FPX deciding this would be a bit too much.
Yeah, nice by FPX to back off, considering that this is one of the moments where Rich isn't showing on top wave, no one's showing in mid, so you really have no idea where the members of E5 are. You can assume they're probably coming out of base on resets. As Dream, nice to not get hit by the Q coming out from Hung. And now, I mean, V5 just playing on a bit of a reset timing. Dragon about to come, FPX have full control, but should be very easy for V5 to brute force their way in through mid into river, and both top laners having TP, so this could very snowball out of control into some crazy team fights.
Which is precisely what we told everyone was going to happen, and then we didn't get any so far. So I'm really hoping you're right on this one, or I feel like we're just lying to the audience at this point. Herald goes down in that mid lane. It buys priority for V5. They muscle into this river and start clearing vision away. Dream pretty aggressively trading there, but doesn't take any damage back. V5, no contest here from the side of FPX. They're just going to have complete and utter control.
Yeah, seems like FPX have kind of realized that with the lead that V5 have found and how strong their 5v5 is, they kind of need to opt into getting some more items. Crucially, onto LWX and Shalahu, right? Shalahu's still waiting for that big level 16 power spike, where hopefully he can just terrorize Rich enough in a side lane, create a bit of a numbers advantage situation, and then FPX can start looking for those fights that they want.
I was going to say, like, at what point does FPX actually start to come alive? Because this feels like V5 are playing the game, and FPX are kind of just on the other side of the rift, watching V5 slowly but surely take all of their towers and take all of the objectives, and FPX kind of just watching it happen without really doing much about it so far.
I feel like for FPX, it really is, at this point, just waiting out that level 16 to be able to come through before you opt into full-on 5v5s. They can still look for plays like this if they want to try and set up around a side lane. But V5 reading it very well, matching 3v3 in bot, and if you look at the top side of the minimap, Rich once again going, but Dream
engages 2v1 onto Care, and here comes Caster to back up his teammate, and Clid trying to protect his mid laner, but will be sacrificed instead. Dream to grab the kill on that one, V5 with a great collapse.
And V5 have just read really well about what FPX's options are, right? They know they're not going to be looking to make a play on top side. They're starting to hover down. They don't spot really anyone in the top quadrant of the jungle other than Shalahu. Rich was actually chasing Shalahu down to make sure he couldn't TP during that fight. And then you just bring 4 members down, drop 1 wave mid, and it was beautifully done by the side of V5. We'll see how the engage comes out here. Just jumping past Clid, trying to burst out the squishy Ahri on the opposite side. Everfrost does allow Care to get away, and then 1 pop of his ultimate as well makes it so he doesn't go down. But Clid, left in that sticky situation, did have to give his life over.
Very nicely done by V5 to find themselves a little advantage, and that, you know, they keep on finding these little advantages, and all in all, it's turned into a big advantage there, because they're 3,000 gold up on the board right now. Like I said before, it doesn't feel like FPX have much of an answer, as you say, waiting for that Kale level 16. Shaolahu doing a good job of just trying to stay relatively even with Rich in the game, as Photic might be caught, but flashes out, keeps himself safe. That's both of his summoners used, though, as the tower does go down in favor of Shaolahu.
Yeah, so able to finally find something back.
Will Clid ever find any chickens? The saga continues.
No, it doesn't seem like it is. We're going to get a bit of a replay on... Okay, Flash Q comes forward right into the clan. Okay, so how Photic had to end up losing all summoner spells. And FPX once again trying to find a pick outside. Care TP'd in.
Did. Can they find Rich, though? He's used his Q right here. The W comes out just to slow Care, and Rich might look for a re-engage with Carcer there, but it looks like they back away in the end. 2 minutes until the Drake, despite the positioning on the map here from FPX. I think that'll be the end of the play. I just want to point out as well, I just noticed Photic using the IG Kai'Sa. Remember, this guy trained underneath Jackie Love. Feels nice to see him using Jackie Love's skin.
Yeah, which is kind of funny. Trained underneath Jackie Love with his IG skin, but he trained under him while they were both on top esports.
Yeah.
But, oh, that doesn't matter. Dream.
He's caught out. He's used his flash, turns golden. Carcer buying space, buying time. Dream gets the Kingslayer and actually survives, and Carcer lives too. How are they getting away with this? Oh no, Kale on the back line. This is huge. Double kill for Shaolahu. Maybe more as Rich trying to buy space for the rest of his team, but Care's on the top side. Photic and Dream in a 2v2 as Shaolahu and Rich just duke it out. Somehow Rich is just not taking damage, but a charm comes on out. The true damage from the Orb of Deception should be enough, and Shaolahu flashes forward. The hat trick on the Kale is everything FPX needed.
Huge for the side of FPX, punishing Dream, who gets caught overextending. Sadly for the side of FPX, no Dragon up right now. You don't really have enough members up to confidently take a Baron. We're going to see how it all started, right? Dream making his way over from top lane after pushing that one in, wanting to link up with mid lane. Beautiful CC coming out to lock him down. Does have stopwatch to make sure he can buy a bit of time, and Carcer comes in with the ultimate. They're able to find a kill on the Hung, but still so many low members. And with Shaolahu coming in and this not really being like a front-to-back scrap with V5's diving tools all being utilized, it allows Shaolahu to become unleashed, start taking all these targets down. And Rich might be huge, but still not really being too big of a damage dealer. But look at the bottom left hand of our screen, Munch. We're about to get some more action.
Forget this fight. We got another fight as V5 group it up in the river once again. Remember, Drake coming up 15 seconds time. That's why everyone's grouped up right here as Carcer trying to clear vision. Dream
taking a bit of a chunk as well. Feels like the poke is starting to come online a little bit for FPX here. LWX having a couple of items is going to be huge for the side of FPX. Level 13 on Xiaolao, who, again, this is... Oh, no! Oh, I thought LWX was doomed there, but that's actually Karsa's ult down. A huge win, ultimately, for FPX.
Yeah, now they can just slowly whittle V5 down with that poke coming out from the Ezreal that you talked about. Hung even selling his ultimate to buy space. Shallow, whose ult about to be up as well. 4v5, maybe just have to pivot to mid lane, but they want to try and steal.
Karsa stealths in, can't quite get the smite though, and has to flash away on the other side of it. 2 Drakes apiece is cleared. Charges forward, Pillar comes out, but Everfrost denies the engage. It will just be cleared. Actually, still just going forward. Goes on to Rich, uses the subjugation. Karsa in the middle of everyone, but that's just a clone in the end. As Rich just zip it away, trying to survive. Still a lot of HP to be working with. And actually procking his grasp there as Dream comes into the back of the play. There's a knock-up across the team. Shala, who using his ult. In goes Dream. Absolute carnage at the red buff. But it's V5 favored carnage as Rich charges forward once again. And Karsa behind enemy lines here. Denies the blast cone and knocks Hung into his death. As Karsa moves forward once more. PB God looks for a hook. And LWX is found. Everything goes the way of V5.
And even the timing is perfect because they've taken enough members down to where V5 can go and pick up the Baron. So tragic for the side of FPX, not able to find any CC onto Rich, leading to the overextension coming through. We're going to go pretty much to when this starts. Clid, like you said, wanting to force aggressively, uses the ultimate. I feel like Kair should have held onto the Everfrost there because he did have another charm available. He could have guaranteed the CC to come through, and then maybe you can get enough members onto Rich to take him down and have the numbers. But we see here, huge coming out from Karsa and PP God. PP God with a beautiful ult knocking up 3 members, and then Rich able to absorb all the damage coming out from FPX's members, allowing Photic to just free hit on the backside. Beautiful hit from the blast plant coming out from Karsa, and it's just all she wrote for FPX.
And Lyric, what do we say at the start of the day? V5, when they win fights, it's a straight up hand stiff, and that's exactly what this one feels like as Rich just starts to fight on to Care. There is literally no follow-up available. I don't know why Rich ulted Care right there, but hey, at least that's half of his HP.
There's no follow-up. Like, Dream doesn't have, like, bot wave pushed in. There's really no objective to be able to pivot to. Just trying to overly force the pick out. And I do gotta say for V5, as we've been memeing them, this has by far been the best game they've played so far, which is, again, crazy considering that both their last series ended in 2-0s. But this has by far been like the least messy, clean, building up small advantages we've seen. And this is a nice look coming out from V5 without Rookie not struggling so heavily as they have before.
Feels like that engagement, Rich, all hands, no brain. He's like, look at this, I can catch the Ari, but not much else can come of it, as you say. Now the C's can come in, and like you're saying, right, V5 actually played this very intelligently. Great trades across the map in the early game. Like, we talked about the fact that FPX felt like they didn't exist in the early game. Well, a lot of that was V5 playing very intelligently around the map, understanding where they could pressure. And oh no, the thumbs out from Photic as FPX just whiff everything in the mid lane. This is going to be a bot tier 2 taken as well. If not this wave, then on the next, as Karsa will stealth back out of the situation. Feels like this team is so slippery from V5 as well. You can't catch anyone.
No, I mean, right, we hit on the mobility coming out from the side of FPX, but V5 having mobility on literally all 5 of their members. And, oh, Dream trying to force engage because they know they can take that turret down. Still having about a minute of time left on the Baron. I think forcing an inhibitor turret should be quite hard, so resets will just come on through. Next Dragon coming up in a minute and a half. So V5 get your resets down, get back down towards that bottom side of the enemy jungle. You already have vision control, so FPX are going to potentially have to try and fight for that. But I wouldn't be too surprised if FPX just opt into giving up this Drake and just once again keep getting more items under your belt. But Shalahu should be very close to hitting level 16.
Yeah, maybe one more wave, maybe a couple. I just want to quickly mention, before this game like suddenly turns into a big fight and then ends, like, Dream having a fantastic game on the Silas, right? Got his counter pick in the mid lane, got to choose his matchup, has a 10-stack Magi, 5-0 and 3. He's been looking amazing in these skirmishes. He's been setting up for the rest of his team. And crucially, one of the big things everyone's saying about V5 is, you know, we can't really see how good they'll be until Rookie is back. Well, Dream showing that he can have great performances and he can be somewhat of a leader for the team.
I mean, right, Dream won the regular season MVP in LDL for a reason. He's definitely a player I think we're going to see in the LPL in the future. Obviously, we don't expect him to continue starting once Rookie gets back in, but would be a big miss for a team not to take advantage of his talent, as Karsa was angling to go in, but Hung and LWX jumping away, making sure that doesn't happen. And now here we are, 15 seconds until Drake. V5 have all the pressure, and FPX might opt into what we said, not looking to contest, just keep getting more levels on your carry. Shala, who actually wasn't able to hit 16 off that wave, looks like he should be pretty close now. Rich, I guess, did have a massive experience lead, since he's already sitting on 16 in a bit.
Oh, Mirage in, but it's a little too early. That'll be solve point now. Side of V5. Shala, who is this enough? The last minion, it's not enough. How is he still level 15? I swear to God, he's killed 100 minions at level 15 at this point.
Yeah, you know what? It's just not enough. It's just not enough. Again, he has to do better. He has to farm as well as Rich does and not go share experience elsewhere on the map, even though he actually has more farm than Rich does.
Rich is like, he's not level 16 yet. All in on the top side. Look at the damage. He's still got his ultimate available if Rich wants to. That's the kill forced out, and Xiaolo who denied level 16.
Solo kill coming in for Rich. Thank you, PP God, for not stepping in. You hit on it. Notices the window wasn't there. Maybe questioning himself, how am I so far ahead in terms of experience over this guy? Goes for it, and now 4v5. Instantly going to TP him in and start looking to break down the base of FPX.
Oh yeah, they can start to really hammer home, or they can retreat. Also an option. They're just going to go for vision control, I guess. On the top side, Baron coming up in a minute, so they settle for that. I thought we were going to get more off the back of that pick, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, right, V5 made us think, again, TP coming out, kind of angling to maybe try and force a dive, but realizing, hey, FPX are turtling in their base, very hard to get something done. And for V5, I mean, it's very hard for them to be able to break open inhibitors and inhibitor turrets without Baron, right? They have a very low-range composition that kind of requires you to find picks before you can safely walk up and hit an enemy structure. So seems like their play is going to be waiting out either for the Baron if they feel confident looking for a bait there, or just having to wait out until Soul, to where you know FPX will have to look for a fight.
They certainly will. Well, Shala, who did hit level 16 in the end. Rich is now level 17. It is a full level lead that Rich has for himself off in the side lane. And Rich, you know, having a fantastic game. 3 items completed. He's practically invincible. And by the looks of things, might just go for a Warmogs next as well, which I double checked. You know, I mentioned the W, the Flail of the North from Rich, just one-shotting the casters earlier. Well, it turns out it scales with maximum HP. Yep. So that Warmogs will actually be a damage item for Rich as well.
Yeah, a lot of Sejuani's kit actually does scale with that, but we need to pause because FPX now are angling for something themselves.
Certainly are. Rich going to be CC'd up, but he's not taking any damage yet. PP God turns golden as the rest of V5 just obliterate FPX. This was not even close. Rich grabs himself a double kill, and he looks for a little bit more onto Care as well. That's going to be Dream denying both triple kills as Foe to get a double as well. And V5 literally just brute force their way up the mid lane here. They have so many tanky stats across their team. They don't need no minions. That's going to be game number 1 going the way of V5. And that final fight was just brutal.
And please give Rich an award. Dream having a fantastic game coming on the mid lane, but still, the fact that Rich was able to do so much in that 1v1 matchup, he was winning out so heavily. We obviously just saw the solo kill maybe 5 minutes ago